For those of you that know me, know that I'm a huge Elon Musk fan, and because of that, I've read just about everything there is to read and watch about him. And in the spirit of career development, I'd like to talk about his leadership style. Now, I'm going to walk through just 3 traits in particular that has made him successful in his endeavors, and whether or not you can adopt them for yourself to be successful in your career. And regardless of where you are in your career, whether you're an individual contributor or a manager, leaders can be found at every step in an organization. So watch this entire video because it all applies to you. So stay tuned. Hey folks, Richard Walls here, helping you with career development and personal finance. If at the end of this video you decide you like what you see and you want to see more of it, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below along with the notification bell so you get notified of when I post new content. And while you're down there, you might as well go ahead and hit that like button. It helps out my channel tremendously. So thank you for doing that in advance. And with that said, let's get into it. Now, before I start talking about Elon Musk, I do want to set the stage a little bit when it comes to leadership and why it should matter to you regardless of where you are in your career. Main point here is that leadership is not defined by a title. Being a manager, while it implies leader, doesn't necessarily equate to effective leadership, just as much as being an individual contributor does not preclude one from being a leader. This is all to say that you can demonstrate great leadership regardless of where you are in your career, whether you are a manager or not. Because of that, I'm always looking to individuals out there that exhibit great leadership qualities, and I would consider Elon Musk to be in that category. Now, I'm not going to say he's the perfect leader because really no one is. Everyone has their flaws, but the qualities that he does possess got him to where he is today, and you could say he's doing all right. And because of that, this video isn't necessarily about what Elon Musk does well as a leader. It's more so, here's an observation of some of the more obvious characteristics he portrays as a leader and how it works for him and whether it makes sense for you to adopt some of those characteristics yourself. There are 3 of them that I'll focus on here today, and the first one is micromanagement. It's probably unanimous that micromanagement is not a great trait to have as a leader, and I would say that is largely true. Reason being is if you're micromanaging anything, one, you are being very inefficient with your time in that you're getting into the details and not leaving the work to other people that can also do it quite effectively. And because of that, you might not also get the best results because you're trying to input your ideas or impose what you think is the right way to do things, when if you leave it to someone that also knows what they're doing, they have the reign to come up with their own ideas and do things effectively, and you can focus your time on something else that's more pressing. And lastly, it doesn't really foster great working relationships when you are looking over someone's shoulder at all times. So a lot of cons to micromanagement. All that said, it works for Elon Musk because he's the chief engineer and designer at Tesla and SpaceX, where details are very critical to the business. But he is an anomaly. He works anywhere from 80 to 100 hours a week for a long period of time. He's probably done that most of his life and will probably continue to do that. Hopefully he gets a break here and there, but it's everything that he's working on, he is extremely passionate about. The whole point of that being is that he doesn't mind spending insane amounts of time on his work. And as you might have gathered, he's also one of the most driven people to ever walk the face of the earth, in my opinion. He's also very intelligent. And so whenever he gets into the details with his employees, I'd argue that with all that micromanagement, in some ways, he's actually pushing those people that he's working with to be better at what they do. Now, obviously, sometimes that style rubs people the wrong way, But Elon Musk's companies, SpaceX and Tesla in particular, tend to attract the kind of people that believe strongly in what Elon Musk is aiming for. It shouldn't be a surprise to a lot of people that apply to these companies that this is what he's like and this is what the culture is like. So it generally attracts the best talent in the world. And some of that talent, I would imagine, look to Elon Musk as a role model or an aspirational figure. And when it comes to micromanaging, well, it's justified because these people get to work on extremely cool projects and technology that's moving humanity forward. Question is, should you micromanage? While it actually can make sense from time to time, especially when it comes to situations that require urgent attention and you need to make a quick decision or direct resources in a very specific manner to get something done, it might make sense in those situations and you get very involved for a short period of time. This is not something that's sustainable for the long term. And Elon Musk happens to be a bit of a freak of nature in that regard, in that he has done that for many, many years, and that's just his personality. But generally speaking, for most people, micromanagement is not something I would recommend. The second characteristic is that he is willing to be in the trenches with everyone else. He's willing to put in the work when there are challenges facing the company. Now, this is one of the most admirable qualities of his, which is that he wouldn't ask anyone to do something that he himself would not do. And one instance of this was a few years back with the Tesla Model 3 production. They had a lot of manufacturing issues, and so he spent nights on the factory floor, obviously in a little office, but again, he spent a lot of time to make things work, and he didn't just relax, sit back, and let other people handle it. He got very involved. He rolled up his sleeves, literally in some cases. But he got to work and he didn't ask other people to put in long hours if he himself was not willing to do the same to rectify a lot of these issues. So can you or should you do the same? The answer is absolutely yes. You don't need to obviously be as extreme as Elon Musk, but there's nothing that boosts morale more with the people that you're leading than working side by side with them and sharing in that sacrifice, doing the work that they're doing. Now, obviously, as a leader, you have to prioritize and be strategic with your time. But again, there's nothing that commands more respect from your peers or whoever it is that you might be leading. You might have heard the expression, lead from the front, not the back. And whenever you lead from the front, you are setting the example for everyone else to follow. You're not simply commanding people to do something, you yourself are doing it. As hard of a driver Elon Musk might be, he absolutely gets a lot of respect and is able to influence people by doing exactly that. And so that people aren't left looking at Elon saying, well, he's just sitting back doing nothing and here I am doing all the work, as might be the complaint at many companies or organizations. The third characteristic is setting aggressive timelines. Elon Musk is notorious for overpromising to the general public a timeline of when things are going to happen, only for certain dates to come and go. But ultimately, he delivers on those promises, and I'd argue that they get delivered on sooner than if those aggressive deadlines had not been set in the first place. I'd also argue there's a deeper principle at play here, which is Parkinson's Law, which states that work expands to fill the time that it is given to complete the task. For example, you're given a week to complete a certain task, and well, you take the full week to complete the task when realistically you could have done it in a day. Now, of course, there are some limitations to that logic. If somebody were to give you 2 days to build a rocket ship, well, you're gonna have a lot of problems. But the idea here is that tasks can generally be completed faster than we give credit for. Now, in the case of Elon Musk, he takes this to an extreme and he sets fairly unachievable deadlines for people, and I don't know if it's necessarily that he knows that they're unachievable, or that he's very excited and optimistic about when things can be accomplished. But regardless, the net effect is, because of his personality and character, he's able to convince people that some of those lofty goals and the timelines are indeed achievable. Now, almost inevitably, people fall short of those goals, but ultimately they do accomplish some of these tasks quicker than if those aggressive deadlines hadn't been set in the first place. Now, can you or should you replicate this? I say yes, but again, do so strategically and sparingly. Don't be afraid from time to time, if you're in a position to lead a team or a project, to set aggressive deadlines despite the pushback you might get. Because even if whatever it is you asked for gets delivered late, it will still get delivered sooner than if you hadn't set those aggressive deadlines in the first place. Now, you don't want to do this too often because you may seem unreasonable as opposed to just overly optimistic from time to time. Unless you're Elon Musk, then you can of course do that all the time and make a career out of it. So those are the 3 leadership characteristics I wanted to talk through today, and there are probably many more, but I'll just leave it at that. But before you leave, make sure to leave a comment down below. I'd love to get your take on what you think of Elon Musk's leadership style and whether or not you think it's effective, and whether or not you plan to adopt some of what he does in your own career. So with that said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you around.